Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the video of our sixth meeting. And the discussion today will be about a chapter from Steven Pinker's book entitled The Language Instinct. I have already put the chapter Talking Heads. So the title of the chapter is Talking Heads. It is already in Sipejar and you can read it. It's pretty long, but it's very interesting, and we'll try to highlight some issues so that you can understand a little bit about the chapter. So language instinct, that's the title of the book, and that's pretty much the underlying notion of today's lecture. We need to know, what does language instinct imply? So what is language instinct? Okay, so you might know the meaning of instinct already, but what is language instinct? To understand that, we need to compare this with Sapir's definition of language. So according to Sapir, language is purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, and desires. Chomsky and Steven Pinker are very different from this point of view. So according to Sapir, language might be non-instinctive, or to be learned from the social surrounding. But for Steven Pinker and also for Noam Chomsky, language is instinctive, meaning that it is biologically and or psychologically given. So we are here, so instinct, language instinct. That means our ability to speak, our language proficiency is biologically and or psychologically given. When we say that language is innate, that means we believe in language instinct. Language instinct suggests that language is innate, that is in the Chomskyan sense. So we have to remember again about the innateness hypothesis, or the LAD hypothesis that we learned last week, so language acquisition device. Every human child is born with the LAD, which allows them to acquire any language spoken around them. So you are able to speak a language because you have this LAD, a language acquisition device that's in your brain. And this reading, Talking Heads, is related to Chomskyan linguistics in the sense that it primarily relates to sentence creation or sentence production or syntactic structure in a very deep sense. So it allows you to look at syntactic structure, the deep structure of sentences. And what does the word heads mean here in the phrase talking heads? It can refer to the real head or human head and the computer head or the ICU, so artificial intelligence, right? So our head, human head versus the AI. Talking heads does mean both human heads and computer heads or AI, and they have their own linguistic competence. Now we have to see the differences between them. The human mind is good at detecting meaning, but not good at memory. Whereas the artificial intelligence is good at memory, but not good at detecting meaning. Okay, so our advantages is knowing meaning. Our mind can detect meaning, maybe we don't have as good memory as the artificial intelligence, but we can detect meaning. On the other hand, the AI has a lot of memory, can remember anything, can store a lot of data, yeah, but they cannot really detect meaning. We will see the examples. If you go to the chapter, page 192 up to 193, there are some questions listed. Which is bigger, Chicago or a bread box? Do zebras wear underwear? Is the floor likely to rise up and bite you? If Susan goes to the store, does her head go with her? Okay, so if you ask these questions to people, well, okay, the questions are pretty strange, but if you ask these questions to people, they will figure out how to answer the questions. But if you put it on a computer, they will not be able to answer it. Okay, so even the smartest AI will have difficulties in answering the questions. Simple questions like those are puzzling to AI because the AI is not programmed for that. That is, AI works very fast and accurately in response to problems for which it was designed. So they can answer questions accurately if it has already been designed or programmed for them. You come up with questions that are very strange, like the one that we have looked at. Those questions might not have been programmed yet, so they will have problems. Okay, so now let's have a look at some additional examples. How the computer detects spelling and grammatical errors. That's one example that they can understand problems that have been programmed for them. Yeah. If we make mistakes in writing this sentence, typos or spelling errors like this one, there will be red underline. Yeah, if you type it in Microsoft Word, you will see that this is full of red underlined. Yeah, and then they will suggest this one, the grammatically correct solution. And then when we write this, this one will be written with green underline, because the rule says that you should not capitalize the first letter after this symbol. Okay, so the computer requires that the first letter after equal to must be a lowercase, not a capital. So again, the computer is giving some underline. This time is green, because it deals with capitalization. And it recognizes this kind of problem. But computers will not be able to detect semantically ill-formed sentences. The circle is triangular. Your red ideas smell like barbecue. The chair and table dance nicely and melt. So these questions are grammatically okay, but semantically ill-formed or strange. Your computer will not be able to detect it, but your human mind will easily detect the strange things behind these sentences. All right. So you can detect meaning, but computers might not be able to do so. And then if you read the chapter, you can go to page 194, read the dialogue and feel it. Does it sound natural? The answer is no. Yeah, okay, so just go to the page and try to read the dialogue. There's also one unnatural dialogue on page 195. Okay, try to read it and see if the interaction is not really human. Okay, so it does not really sound natural. Now, if we have a question, why can a computer or AI answer our questions as other humans do? The answer is that in a natural conversation, a question raised by an interlocutor may obtain different answers, but all sound natural. Humans can answer any given question, for they have knowledge and linguistic competence. On the other hand, it is not possible to create a computer program that is able to speak like humans. Well, perhaps in the future, you can program a very complicated AI and then they can be able to answer all the questions, but still, yeah, the linguistic competence of humans are more superior because there is a combination of knowledge and linguistic competence. If you go to page 196 to 198, you will be able to read a kind of illustration of how to diagram a sentence. Okay, try to read it. And then this is some sort of highlight, yeah, on that. What is the purpose of diagramming a sentence? Yeah, actually, you really diagram a sentence to cut inside, to dissect the sentence, to be able to see the inner or internal structures. Yeah, so this sentence diagram help you see the internal structures of the sentences. For example, if we have those sentences, the cat in the hat came back, dog bites man, man bites dog. Man is bitten by dog. Man suffers dog bite. We use syntax and then we break the sentence into phrases and then we are able to look at different word orders and we can paraphrase, we can look at paraphrasing from active to passive and so on. Yeah, so this one is passive. How do we know if it is passive? Because we describe the word order using syntax. Okay, so this is the noun, and then this is linking verb, and then this is verb, and then there's a preposition, and then there's a noun, and then you draw the diagram. And this one is active. How do we know if it is active? You also can draw a sentence diagram to show that inside these sentences, the structures are very complex and they're very different from each other. Okay, so here we see again, sentences in human language are internally or structurally very complex. Now we have several questions that you need to answer in order to show that you understood this material. Okay, so question number 1, do you agree or disagree with the thesis language instinct as proposed by Steven Pinker? And then support your argument with data or linguistic evidence. And you should study the following sentence as well. A giant tree stepped out sadly of the smiling tiny bottle. Yeah. How does AI respond to this sentence? How does the human mind respond to this sentence? What is the major difference between AI and the human mind in dealing with sentence meaning? Okay, and we also have one more question. Look at the following sentences and answer this one. Do you think that the series of sentences are produced by AI or by the human mind? Justify your answer. Now, how does AI differ from human mind with reference to linguistic creativity? Okay, so 3 questions, and you can answer this once you have really understood the essence of today's lecture. So thank you very much.